Hey guys, Kyger here, and today I'm joined by someone who's helped me a lot with the content creation process, and that being my buddy Casino. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
And Casino's helping us today. We're going to do a deep dive into Captain Marvel, what she can accomplish in Omega War. Right now on the screen, you can see one of his favorite costumes, the looks of it. This is the new Stark number 6. Looking pretty dapper with the black and red.
It's something about the glowing eyes. I'm like a big fan of like the Gundam series, and so
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then he also wanted to point out, because of some of her abilities, reference in anime we've seen as kids, this one right here, looking like a Saiyan.
Yeah, I like the Dragon Ball Z costume because she, as you'll see if we're gonna go over some of her abilities, she has a Kamehameha. She has like a whole bunch of energy beams. She has a spirit bomb. She flies around. She shoots all these energy blasts. And then her ultimate, she literally basically goes Super Saiyan, and her hair starts glowing yellow.
Mm-hmm. So let's go into, as you said, her abilities. Let me pull up skills. And we talked about a lot of the options, what niche cases they can be in other game modes. But this is what he currently does in Omega War. Photon Charge, right here for the stamina.
I actually like the stamina is kind of nice, but it's not really that she has crazy stamina issues. If you're not running that ability, you'll have a little stamina issue, but it's not too bad. It's really just incredible utility. It's a low cooldown. It's really good damage. It's pretty much instant activate, and it hits everyone around her. So it's just a ton of damage to a lot of people around you that fires immediately. Can't really miss. Like, you don't have to aim it. It just, as many people around her as there are, it just locks on and fires. So it's an easy way when someone flies near you and you want them to go down, you just press that button and it'll hit them if they got too close. And it
Especially
also
in war where you can jump in the middle of 4 or 5 people, right?
Yeah, I particularly like to use it right after an ultimate because everyone's knocked down and they can't get up, and then I have all that empowered damage going into it. But yeah, that's just a staple of Omega War, just because it's such an easy ability to use. So
Agreed. Next, we're on to the energy impact. He likes to use this one right here, number 4, that recovers ultimate skill gauge, which seems like a big thing for her.
Yeah, if she had a single ability that's core, that is her core ability, because she really revolves around her ultimate. Her ultimate is just night and day difference. Like she spends some time being a subpar character and then some time being just like a godly character. So you want to shift the balance into spending more time as that godly character, and you can use that ability combined with your innate ultimate skill gauge recovery to just be ulting all the time. And in addition to the ult just being a nuke, it's also a protective ability. She can't be damaged. She's invulnerable for 2 seconds while she uses it. And then, yeah, it's offense, it's defense. After that, it's debuff immunity. It's so much more damage. So her ult is everything, and that ability is key to just giving her a lot of ults. And then, as we'll talk about later, it's a light speed movement ability, which is just yet another reason you want to press it as often as you can.
Next is your favorite, the beam.
Yeah, you got to respect the beam.
And this is the one that I believe you said if you had to pick one to raise the level of with a costume choice, this would be the one?
Yes, if I had to pick a single skill, it's that one. Now, I will say again, specifically for Omega War, it's kind of cheating to say this, but the single ability I would raise just for Omega War would be her ultimate, but that requires a regional set.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
You have to go non-regional. I'd probably go the beam just because it's so good for focusing out single targets. But
and you wanted to say the three versions of it, right? The 3 stages.
Well, it ramps up in damage once you lock on that beam. It guaranteed does a chain of damage, then it steps up to even more damage, and then it steps up to a third section of even more damage. And if someone like dodges out of it or gets out of range, then it'll just drop. But if it kills someone, it will automatically pick a new target for the next section. So because it does so much damage, if there's 3 people around you that are all kind of low, you can aim it at one and it'll drop the first, realign to the second, drop the second, realign to the third, and getting a triple kill with the beam is...
I was going to say, have you been able to get a double or triple with this?
Absolutely, yeah. I regularly get triples with it as long as the people are there.
There you go.
I'm also a bit stronger than the average Omega War player. I'm capped on PvP damage increase, so I have some tools to make it easy. But yes, it can definitely be done. But the interesting thing about it is, as much as I love that ability, there's no doubt in my mind as a Captain Marvel player, if you're only getting one non-regional set, that's the one you want. But I'll say for Omega War, you really want to try to push for AoE. So specifically, if we're only talking Omega War, it's valid to suggest potentially a different ability, but it's kind of a no-brainer for me still, because in addition to making that ability so much better, that is for sure the ability you want in pretty much every other game mode. So I didn't put too much thought beyond it. Like it's plenty good for Omega War, but it's amazing everywhere else. So.
And this is a little bit of a controversial one right here, at least from what we saw in your chat. Photon energy, photon absorption is the one that you enjoy, whereas other people were talking about this fourth option. You want to talk us through?
Yeah, I think that's a big mistake. People are looking at the fourth one and thinking, well, you can just cast it and fly away, and then it just kind of rains damage. And it is a moderate amount of damage. The problem is that damage is spread throughout all the different hits, so it's not like anyone who gets hit takes that big chunk of damage. And while it does, rain damage, anyone who's kind of moving around or getting out of range of it, they're not going to get hit that hard by it. But that's less why I discourage it, and more about the fact that it is a huge, huge, huge mistake, especially in Omega War, to not use the absorption, because that will raise her defense by about 50%. And that's for 8 seconds. So in addition to the fact, nice little instant activate AoE that can damage people around you. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you can knock them down as well. But 8 seconds of 50% heightened defense makes you so much tankier. And Captain Marvel is not that tanky. So having 8 seconds where she can actually take hits, especially if you're, fire that off while you're waiting for stuff to go on cooldown, or I tend to fire that off when I know I'm charging into like 3 or 4 people. I definitely want to be taking basically half damage for the next 8 seconds. So yeah, that defense.
I will confirm that it is a knockdown. And talking about the cooldowns, it's 8 seconds. You say, it says it right here on the ability that you get the defense up. It has a 17.5-second cooldown. If you are able to get some cooldown decrease, you can have it about 70-80% of the time uptime on this.
Yep. But the other thing is, a lot of her safety comes from, as we'll talk about in the specializations, the way her
active dodge.
Her dodge. So this is more of a stopgap, or sometimes I use it like when I want to lay down heavy damage and not even have to worry about dodging or anything. I can throw that up and comfortably just march into a few people, and I know I've got some time to work and land a bunch of damage, and I can just stand there and absorb some shots.
And on to the last one, which you just did some testing on, Photon Buster. Focal Energy Shot is the one that you're currently using, and this one to the right, Buster Sphere, is the one that you tested. You want to tell us a little bit about the two?
Yep, the Buster Sphere is objectively better for AoE stuff in general, not PvP, which we'll talk about in just a sec, but it is better for like wave clearing a bunch of mobs. But it's a much longer cast time than the other one, so you kind of get stuck in a position doing an animation to launch it where you're vulnerable. Like I got knocked out of it and then it didn't even launch. I got killed once while I was trying to use it, and then
they just dodged out of it.
It doesn't track the target, so if they dodge, it'll just go where you originally threw it and miss. And the explosion radius is not that big, so I don't like that one. I definitely like the other one. Now, the drawback of the other one is that it's only single target. It is incredible for single target, and it is my favorite way if someone is running away or flying around. And a lot of times in Omega Wars, you see that one player who has a bunch of points just trying to run away. It takes like 1 to 2 seconds to get that one to lock on. And then once it locks on, it chases them. It's heat seeking. And if they don't burn a dodge right when it's about to hit them, which is very, very hard to time because it moves fast.
Yeah, they can easily mess up the dodge time.
Oh, almost no one successfully dodges it. Most of the dodges are coincidental. What tends to happen is you're chasing them, and as soon as I'll burn a dodge to get in range real quick and fire it, and as soon as they see that I dodged in range, they dodge out of range.
You do your animation, pull your arms back, put the things behind you. They dodge because they see an ability coming, and they get hit by the last 2 or 3. Now,
good.
The thing that really matters, Binary Eruption. Walk us through.
Is that the ultimate?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know it by that name. I just thought the ultimate. But so again, this move is everything. The first thing is you can use it for safety, like you want to use this whenever it's available, but if you're in trouble, I will try to set this up. I will jump into a crowd of people or burn a dodge into a group of people. You want them to surround you. When you have your ult, you want them to think he's vulnerable, he's in over his head, swarm.
Yeah, he dodged 2 or 3 times already. It's time to hit him.
Yeah, he's in the middle of all of us. He's overextended. Get him. And then as soon as you press that ultimate, she starts an animation where she's completely invincible. She's not even targetable, so she can't be hit.
That's the first line of text up here. Becomes immune to damage and debuffs for 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's like she's not even there. And then when she's done casting, there's a massive AoE that not only does like over 1500% damage, it levels people. It knocks everyone down. So if it doesn't kill them, it knocks them down. And then she gets a couple buffs that last 20 seconds.
To touch on what you said with the knockdown, right here says guard break medium, but right under it, there's a little line that says cannot guard. They will be knocked down.
Yes, they will be knocked down, which is amazing. And she gets 2 buffs once she's activated her ultimate. One is complete debuff immunity, which
for
also
20 seconds.
20 seconds of, can't be webbed up, can't, shock him, nothing, no debuffs. Can't be blinded. Additionally, can't be guard broken. So she's 20 seconds of total freedom. But the other buff is 50% attack. Yep, no cocoon. But 50% attack is the other buff. And it's so much attack that, and that buff goes up the second the ult is ready. So the boom is heightened by that 50% additional. So it's even more than the 1500% that it.
So the percentage you see in front of your face is deceptive. It's more like a 2300.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really, really good. And it just levels people. There is just to backtrack real quick. There's one more suggestion I wanted to make, because those are the skills that I run. But there is one alternative skill lineup that I will use for Omega War that's equally valid. And it's trading out the heat-seeking one that we just talked about.
That'd be this one right here, folks.
Yep, trading that one out for one of the light speed movement ones. It's the second one.
I know which one you're talking about.
And that one, as when we talk about the specializations, I'll explain why. But essentially, that one is far more defensive. So if you are finding that you're just dying too much, you can trade out the single target heat seeker, which is more of an offensive option, for that one. And that one is a very, very strong defense option. It doesn't look like it at face value, but when I explain it, just trust me when I say it's a lot of defense.
Yeah, you got to take into account that, as you said previously in our conversation off this topic, is she becomes untargetable when she does the dash forward and backward, right?
Yes, there are iframes in that ability, but it's the specialization combo as well. But yes, you can press that to escape stuff, but the way it combos with the specialization is just great.
Keep an eye on the light speed movement for a second, people. We will get into that right now. Specialization.
Yep.
And you wanted to talk about this green one all the way down here, right?
We can absolutely talk about the green one. And the green one is definitely better in Omega War, no doubt. But I do just want to say, as a general statement on the specializations, some characters are more specialization dependent than others. Captain Marvel is a completely different character with her active traits. They are monumental for her. And it's the reason why when people say, oh, you have to be a big whale to be a good Captain Marvel, or she's, requires heavy investment. That's sort of true, but it's not the way people express it. People talk about it like she needs crazy gear. She doesn't. She needs to be really deep in her specializations to get her active traits. So it just takes time. Even free-to-play players can absolutely be really, really formidable Captain Marvels, but it takes time. It takes a lot of raids to get them up there.
If you can't do the third difficulty, just ask in World Chat. There's always people helping.
Yeah, especially on the Discord server, we're always on discord.gg/khasino. We have people on every server. Always want to help carry people through ultimate raids. But yeah, her active traits are huge. So we can start with the green one, which is whenever she takes damage that would kill her, she becomes invincible for a couple seconds instead, and then heals for at max like 35% of her health.
Yes. With a 6-minute cooldown.
And this one works. It's a little wonky. It works pretty reliably, and I haven't figured out exactly what makes it work sometimes, not others. I have a theory, but it's unconfirmed. But it doesn't work every time, but it does some weird things. So the way the cooldown reads, you would think you could only benefit from it like once every 10 minutes. But I have for sure had it activate multiple times in the same Omega War, and that I've tested time and time again. I think that once you die, that cooldown is reset. So I'm pretty sure that in that regard, you actually get to use it a lot. It's a lot better than it looks. Where I think it's wonky is sometimes even when it's available, it doesn't trigger. And the going theory is whatever amount of health it will heal you for. I think if you get hit with a single ability that does more than that amount in one shot, it just skips it and you die. I know that's weird, but sometimes it just doesn't go off. And I haven't figured out why sometimes it does.
So you're thinking it takes into account of you having like 135% HP, and then you get that 35 after the 100 goes away?
Yeah.
And that skill, if the skill does the 135, you just die?
That's how it seems to work, because sometimes I just get hit by one big thing, and then I just fall over, and it doesn't even activate. But,
and this is the one I know you really want to talk about, Battle Skill Photon Absorption. It's the purple.
The one next to it?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the very first one that I went after. And what's funny is like there were a lot of these active traits that looked really, really good on the soft launch server that I went straight for. And time and time again, they did not work as advertised and were not as good. But what's funny is the pink one in particular was one that I was like, I wasn't sold on it, because the way that it reads, it says it at max, when you use a light speed movement skill, it's going to fill 40% of a dodge gauge. And I just assumed, based on all the other ones that sounded really good and weren't that great, that it was 40% of a dodge, because I thought it would be way too powerful if it, was.
Here's the terminology that causes that issue. This says recovers of the dodge gauge, not a dodge charge.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So the dodge gauge is the whole thing. And one dodge is 33% of that dodge gauge. So what it actually does is it gives you like 1 1/4 dodges instantly.
Plus whatever you get back during the time that you're using that ability.
Correct. So essentially you can, anytime you need a dodge, you can use a light speed movement ability to just give yourself an extra dodge. And then when you use a dodge, for people that don't know, you get 2 seconds of invulnerability after you dodge. So not only are you getting out of the way of incoming stuff, but then you have a couple seconds where you can't be touched. So she can do some really nasty chains where you'll dodge, then you'll use that ability to refill your ultimate cooldown, which is light speed movement. So you're immediately back to a full dodge gauge while being invulnerable for everything you've done so far. Then you can dodge again, which is more invulnerability. And then if you've gone with that second light speed movement ability that I was talking about potentially swapping in, if you need the safer option.
The faster version 2.
Yep, that one gives you iframes. Then when you're done with that, you have another dodge gauge back. So you've already burned 2 dodges and used an ability that makes you invulnerable at this point.
Yes, during that time to use the 2 abilities with the iframes, that's 80%. Plus, you probably got about 20% off of that time. So you really have 3 dodges.
But you for sure already have 3 dodges, because both of those abilities fill it back. So what I'm saying is that dodge, ultimate fill, dodge, dash back and forth. And what you've done is you've used 2 dodges and you've used an ability that is in itself a dodge.
Yes.
While sitting, you're still sitting at 3 dodges. So now you can just sprinkle dodges in between everything else you're doing. So she's just really, really, really safe.
What is the third one you want to look over? Ultimate skill gauge recovery by 50%.
So we've already talked about why her ult is so powerful. So that one's just at max. If you're above half health, you are getting 50% more ultimate skill gauge recovery. And as we were also just talking about, it appears that when you use the ability that feeds you ultimate, it is increased by the percentage that your ultimate gauge recovery is at. So you're literally getting considerably more ult fill while you're above half health. And this works more. When you're first hitting the field, you have access to a giant defense buff, and you can dodge around a ton. So with all the dodging, at least right up front, you're gonna stay above half health for a bit. And that is just buying you more and more time where you have this really, really increased ultimate gauge recovery. And then when you finally do get your ult, you got some more invincibility while you activate it.
Very Bruiser style. If we look at other characters like Spider-Man and Black Widow, they get bonuses when they're under 30%. She's getting bonuses when she's over 50%.
The last one that I tend to use, and again, there's a couple options here that are all good. The one I tend to like is the one just above that in red. And what that one does is basically, if you've been in combat for more than 6 seconds, which is pretty much all of it, takes about 6 seconds.
That's one dodge and an ability.
Yes. Then she has 20% increased attack. Always.
I mean, your ultimate animation is enough to get you in there, right? So
pretty much. Yeah, it doesn't take much, and like you can burn 6 seconds by literally just dodging 3 times in a row if you really want. You can take no damage before that, so it's very easy to be in combat for 6 seconds.
You want to walk us through some Omega cards?
Sure. So when it comes to Omega cards, it doesn't matter that much. Like there's a whole bunch of different stats to go for. In particular, like if we're talking Omega War, then the Holy Grail is the Captain Marvel special card because it's PvP damage increase. The only other special card that would be absolutely incredible would be Storm, PvP damage decrease. But if we're getting into rares, I tend to, like, for most players who aren't going to be wailing out like crazy on Omega cards, I care more about what the bonus rolls and the exclusive stat is.
Very true.
For Omega War, I'm looking for either PvP damage increase or decrease on the exclusive stat. And for the fixed stat, I'll take a whole bunch. I'll take attack, I'll take defense pierce, I'll take crit rate.
Any of the offensive stats? Yeah,
pretty much. But you can kind of go for whatever you feel your build is lacking. But it's more about the rolls. You know, like I have a card right now, and it's by no means, like, I'm not keeping this forever. For the time being, one of my Omega War cards is fixed stat supervillain damage, which is useless in Omega War. But the bonus stat and the exclusive stat are both PvP damage increase. So I'm still using.
Do you think there's any credence to using set 4 Xander number 4 that gives stamina recovery and ultimate skill gauge recovery?
No, and it's a good question, and having more ult uptime is nice, but if I'm not mistaken, it's either 3 of the 4 or all 4 of those cards have like
villain damage,
super villain damage. So to get just that ultimate recovery, you are
giving up like some stats.
3 or 4 fixed stats. Yeah, it's not worth it at all.
I know this is one that I see talked about when it comes to Captain Marvel sets, so I wanted to get your opinion on it.
It's not bad for PvE. But just like villain damage and villain damage decrease are really only important for battle challenge. That's it. There is one card, however. There's a single card that just gives ultimate gauge recovery. That if you can get a PvP exclusive and bonus stat on it, it's an amazing Omega War card. And that is Future Imperfect 2015 number 1. It's from Dark Zone set 11, and it has Maestro on the cover of it.
I got it.
That's the only one that just gives ultimate.
That's a large number. That's a large number.
Yep. I have one that's a grade 2 out of 7 at 6-star, and it's giving me 14.7%. So that one up to like 16% with a good grade.
Very true. That can definitely make the difference when you go to use your ultimate recovery skill.
Yep. And the other good sources for ultimate skill gauge recovery are your boots. You can get a lot of ultimate skill gauge rolls on that, and your battle badges in slots 5 and 6.
Leading into that, we talked about which outfits look the best. Which ones are you using?
I am using Carol Corpse. As I mentioned earlier, I am trying to get the Midgardia regional set, but because I have not managed to acquire it yet, I'm using Carol Corpse, which increases the beam ability that we talked about.
So we got the Carol Corpse for the attainable and New Stark for the regional?
Well, again, yes. Strictly for Omega War, I'd probably have to go New Stark, but I also really like Midgardia because it'll replicate what the Carol Corpse is doing, and it will also add more damage to that Heat Seeker.
Very true, very true. Now, onto the tips and tricks for Omega War specifically. How do you like to go about your war?
I tend to try to, dip in at the right times when I have a lot to fire off. So I'll usually start off. First thing is find anything you can use to use that ultimate recovery ability. Anytime it's off cooldown, you're just constantly looking for an excuse to use that. So I will, like, as soon as the match starts, I'll turbo boost my flight to get within range of a crystal, and I'll use that to break a crystal. Even though I'm at full health and don't need a crystal, I want that activated immediately so that my ult is just that much closer to being filled. And then I can dash in range of the crystal to use that, because once I've used that, I get that dodge back anyway.
Is it counting said crystal as a target for your recovery?
It doesn't matter. If yes, like I can hit the crystal with a spell, and if the spell fires off, I get the energy regardless of what was hit by it.
Now, do you see Captain Marvel as a just brawler, try to get the point, try to get whatever you can with points, or are you the assassin focusing down the point leader?
Well, the beauty is she has the flexibility. So I think that Omega War is definitely one of the game modes where she really, really shines, because she has a lot of AoE. In particular, that defense buff is a small AoE. Her ult is a massive AoE. That stamina gain is a moderate-sized AoE. The beam can be hitting multiple targets. Like, she just has a lot of tools for hitting multiple people. But the beauty of the original build that I've suggested is... Oh, and even the ultimate fill is a small AoE. But if you need to focus out one person, she can fly as well, so she can chase anyone anywhere. And then you can get in range just long enough to fire the Heat Seeker, and that is one of her most devastating abilities. You can then, if that didn't take him out, you can fly just to get in range just for 1 second to target the beam, and you'll only hit him with the first third of the beam before they fly out of range, assuming they are running. But again, that is a guaranteed focus fire single target ability, and especially if you're even just using the Carol Corp set, which is raising the power of that, it does a tremendous amount of damage, and you can focus someone out. So
very quick animation, very big damage.
Yeah, she has the tools to take out a single target, but it's buried under a lot of AoE.
Awesome. And just to close it out, how are you doing with your wars? I have some of your gameplay playing right here. How are you doing on the leaderboards? Is there anybody you're worried about? Any characters you're worried about? Maybe an Iron Man, whatnot?
Yeah, so in Omega War, I'm not entirely sure why. Like, I've had really good Omega War scores. I've finished in the top 5 every week so far. And I had my best Omega War ever not too long ago. I had 81 kills, which is a personal best for me.
Very great.
And I finished with like 12.5 thousand points because I was holding like 3,600 or something when we finished. So I've had some really, really successful Omega Wars, but one thing I've noticed is reliably Black Widows, in particular, there's like 3 on my server, are always quite a bit higher. I'm not entirely sure what it is that these Black Widows are doing, but I know that at least one of them managed to get over 100 kills in a single Omega War. But yeah, there's not any other characters. Like, it's the top of the leaderboard always looks the same for now, at least on my server for Omega War, which is 8 and then several Widows above me.
So you're recommending to watch out for Widows in Omega War?
The best you can. I'm not sure there's much to be done. Like, I can keep your eyes peeled, I guess, but when they're invisible, you quite literally can't see them coming. But
very true.
Widows, and they manage, they're just pretty powerful. The fact that they're outscoring me means they are just killing people at an insane rate. Like, the match where I got 81 kills left me kind of confused on how the Widows are doing it, only because that match felt like I was killing someone every second that I could. Like, I didn't feel like I had a single wasted second. I was just, if I saw red in front of me, I was firing spells until they fell. And 81 kills in 8 minutes. I mean, I was averaging 10 kills plus a minute. So how Widows are doing more than that, I have no idea, but
Widow things, man. Thank you so much, Khasino. You want to tell people where they can find you?
I stream Marvel Future Revolution on Twitch, twitch.tv/Khasino. Also, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/khasino, and that's KHASINO. And lastly, anyone is welcome to join my Discord server, discord.gg/khasino. We got a ton of people on there who can help you with all sorts of stuff, MFR, builds and stuff for all sorts of characters.
All the different regions as well. All the links will be down below. Until next time, guys.